Do you ever feel like your business is growing but somehow getting 10 times harder to run? Well, I've helped dozens of 6, 7 and 8-figure business owners systemize their business to run without them, and there's always 4 core areas that make things chaotic. But once we fix them, scaling becomes simple. So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact 4-part system I use at selfmastery.co to get any business organized and ready to scale fast without chaos, firefighting, or stress. So to start, let's fix the first pillar, because this is the thing I see broken in almost every single business. So think of your business like a series of connected processes. They could represent important tasks, client work, invoices, or anything else. And of course, these processes need to be done for your business to run and to grow. But what do you think happens if you have 2 people who could do each process? You'd think that that means it's guaranteed to get done, but in reality, it means it doesn't get done. Now, how does that happen? Well, there's a story that perfectly explains why. There was an important job to be done, and everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought that anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. And that's exactly what happens in most businesses. Nobody takes ownership because everyone assumes someone else will do it, which means nothing moves forward in the business. Deadlines get missed, clients are left in the dark, and the entire business is built on a chaotic foundation. You end up holding everyone's hand to make sure they do things. Here's how you fix it. So things actually get done without you micromanaging every move and, holding everybody's hand. What you want to do is map out your systems by identifying the core functions of your business, which are typically marketing, sales, operations, and finance. There can be more depending on your business. And then the goal of each function. So sales, for example, has the goal of turning leads into customers. Then list every single task that happens in your business, identify its goal and match it to the right function, then order them in the logical order that they happen. Then you want to list out every team member you have and make one person responsible for each process and system in the business. Now, one person can be responsible for multiple things, but each thing can only have one person responsible for it. Otherwise, you end up with everybody blaming somebody else and nothing getting done. Which brings us to pillar 2. And this is the biggest reason you feel stressed in the day-to-day of your business. You see, one of my past clients had a team of about 7 or so people. Every single one of them was busy. Slack was going off nonstop. Everyone had a full to-do list every day of the week. There was meetings and everything else, but yet nothing was actually improving because some projects would get stalled, some deadlines would slip, and some tasks were just avoided entirely. And this happened week after week. That's when I realized they didn't have a productivity problem, they had a clarity problem, where there was no clear way to manage and prioritize tasks, which meant important tasks got left behind, causing stress, and unimportant tasks somehow got prioritized, causing wasted time. Now, how we fixed this was a super simple task management system. So let me show you it, because most people vastly overcomplicate this and mess it up and use the most complicated softwares that they can find. You don't need that, okay? The first step is simple. You need to set a rule that all tasks need an actionable outcome and need to be broken down into something that can be done in 1 to 2 hours. For example, far too often I see tasks like work on website. Like, what? Work on website is such a big, broad task that you'll feel overwhelmed because you don't have clarity on exactly what you need to do. And that might take you 12 hours of work. So you'll get pissed off that you couldn't complete it in the 1 to 2 hours you blocked off and you can't cross off that task. Whereas a task like draft primary landing page is actionable. You have to draft it. And it's something that you could do in, 1 to 2 hours. So if a task is not actionable or cannot be done in 1 to 2 hours, break it down into a number of smaller tasks that can be done in 1 to 2 hours and that are actionable. The second step is to have all tasks written in one place. Don't have tasks written in 5 different places. That is a recipe for chaos. Have all your tasks written in one place, whether it's a Google Doc, Google Sheets, ClickUp, Notion, whatever you use. The third step is to assign deadlines to every task, because if there's no deadline, tasks will just keep getting pushed back and eventually never done. The fourth step will actually help you if you're not good at predicting how long a task will take, because step 4 is work in order. Every task that you have to do, whether today or over the next month, should be listed in order of soonest to furthest due date. And you should work down that list, working only on one task until it's completed, so you can't work on the third task until the second is finished. Obviously, you do your best to get each task done by its deadline, but working in order will just keep you on track, even if you're not that good with, estimating deadlines And it'll also keep you focused because you're not worried about, oh, should I do this task now or later? No, you just work in order. The fifth step is responsibilities. Every single task needs to have one person responsible for it. This should be pretty obvious once you have your systems, mapped out, because if you're responsible for the process of writing your weekly newsletter, well, then you're responsible for the tasks around planning, writing, and potentially scheduling that newsletter. This way, everyone knows who is doing what task. The sixth step is workflow. Again, this should be pretty obvious once you have your systems mapped out, but every task should have a clear workflow that is followed to complete the task, like an SOP, but it should also have a clear way to hand over the task if needed. For example, if you write your newsletter, you should have a workflow for doing that, an SOP. But let's say you get your assistant to schedule the newsletter for you, then you need a way to let them know that the newsletter is ready to be scheduled. How you do this will obviously depend on what you use to manage your tasks, the software, etc. But if you don't fix pillar 3, well then everything else goes out the window and your business will just drown in chaos. You see, I used to get messages from my team and my clients constantly, be it in Slack, WhatsApp or emails, and every time one came through, I'd feel that pull, that urge to reply instantly, because in my head, that's what good leadership and service was. If someone had a problem, I drop everything and solve it, or if a client had a question, I answer. So I was being pulled everywhere all the time and it felt so bloody chaotic. But what I didn't realize was that every single time I did that, I was actually feeding the chaos. Like I'd drop whatever deep work I was doing, lose focus, answer the message, go down a rabbit hole, then look at the clock and be completely off schedule. Then I would have to figure out, do I catch up with what I missed or do I move on? And before I could even decide, another message would come through. It was chaotic, right? That's exactly when I realized that what I thought was good leadership, being available 24/7, was actually terrible leadership, because I was training my team to depend on me by doing everything for them instead of letting them think for themselves. So here is how I solved it. First, I streamlined communication with my team and clients so that it was only through one channel. This way, everything was in one place and, there wasn't 100 different places I had to keep up with. Then I made it so that I only responded to messages and emails, etc. in set times. So I chose 2 30-minute blocks at 12 p.m. and 5 p.m. This way, nobody was ever left for too long, but yet I could stay focused on doing the work that I was doing and I wasn't getting distracted all the time and thrown off schedule. Plus, it also means your team will firstly get more focused work done themselves. They'll also take initiative, and instead of waiting for 5 hours for me to solve a problem, they would actually go and do it themselves. Then I made it clear that with my team that if they have any issues or problems or questions that someone wanted to ask me, they should check the relevant SOP for an answer, because it likely has it and it means we both save time. But if the SOP didn't have the answer, they could message me. However, they had to follow the 1-3-1 rule, where they message me with 1 problem, 3 potential solutions and 1 recommendation. This way it's easier for me, because likely their recommendation is the right thing to do. They typically just want permission to do it, but it also encourages initiative, as once they come up with the recommendation, a lot of the time they just realize, oh, that's the right thing to do, I'm going to do it. And if a solution wasn't in an SOP, it is then added to the SOP, so the problem is solved forever. Now, those 3 pillars are crucial for organizing your business and running it without chaos. But if you want your business to grow without chaos, headache, and stress, then you need to fix this 4th area. You see, your business is like a factory line with a conveyor belt that runs through 5 different machines. Now, imagine everyone's working harder than ever, but the output at the end of the line after the last machine, it hasn't moved, it hasn't grown. What do most business owners do? They push the machines harder. They throw in more time, more people, more offers, more effort, believing that more somehow equals better. But if you actually took a moment to look at the machines, you'd see that there is one machine jammed, which means all these stuff the machines before it are producing gets piled up before that block machine, and all the machines after it are starved. They're waiting on more things to work with. So no matter how hard you push the other machines, the line won't move any faster than that broken machine, and that is how most entrepreneurs run their business. They reactively fix whatever feels broken that week and make decisions on what to fix and how to fix it based on emotion and guesswork. So of course, growing feels chaotic, as you're not entirely sure if you're doing the right thing or if you're putting effort into the right solution or problem, because, well, you're guessing. And you cannot run a business on emotions or feelings, okay? It does not work. It is a guaranteed path to failure and chaos. So let me show you how to fix it by making every decision based on data, not emotion. So you want to create a scorecard where you track the data for each system. You then want to analyze that data every week, and what you'll find is that there's one metric in that data that is limiting every other metric. For growth to feel organized and not chaotic, you want to follow the theory of constraints, where you go all in and fixing that one limiting metric until it is fixed. Then you identify the next constraint or bottleneck and repeat, using data to guide your decisions on what to fix, how to fix it, and whether the solution worked. This way, you're not guessing. There's no chaos, and you can actually be organized in how you grow and structured in how you grow. So say if you fix those 4 areas, your business will finally be organized and run like a real business. Of course, this all relies on you being able to track your data and identify the constraints in your business and make decisions based on objective reality, based on data. So click this video on screen now, and I'll show you exactly how to do that.